Wade is guarding Bryant. Artest looking, gets it to Bryant. Bryant dribbling, has to put it up with the buzzer. Banks it in! He banks in the three! And the Lakers win the game!
Boom, baby. Happy winning on Wednesday. What is going on, Insurance Syndicate? We are live here at Syndicate HQ. It is 9 a.m. Central, like we are here every single week. Thank you all, as always, for tuning in. If you can, let me know in the comments that you can hear and see me. I know last week my audio was a little wonky, but I'm not getting any like hand waves like I did from Tony last week from our guest behind stage. So I think my audio is good, but let me know in the comments that you can hear and see me, and go ahead and start dropping those weekly wins in the comments. You know what today is. It is all about winning on Wednesday. Real quick before we get into the show, which we do have a freaking awesome show. I'm excited. It's been a while since we've had him on. I'm excited for his event coming up next month as well, and we'll definitely go through that. But again, as always, shout out to Viva Virtual Solutions, the main sponsor of Winning on Wednesday. Shout out to Lily Davies and Rob Lopez just for everything y'all freaking do. Seriously, Lily, like we could not do it without you. And everything that you do to edit and publish, and then Rob with all of our virtual assistants and how you guys help us manage the phones and service tasks and admin and policy reconciliation and commissions. I mean, you name it. Viva Virtual Solutions has just been a godsend to us and our agency, as well as within the syndicate, with what they do with virtual assistants and how they make them a part of your team. So if you are in the market for a virtual assistant, definitely check out Viva. I highly recommend them, and we use them and partner with them and their team every single freaking day. Couldn't do it without them. So shout out to Viva. Appreciate you guys. But you guys know what time it is. I got my buttons back too. I didn't have it a couple weeks, but it's Winning on Wednesday. You got to start dropping those weekly wins in the comments. Come on, drop them in the comments. We want to be able to celebrate you. I don't care how big or how small. It is Winning on Wednesday. My weekly win. Well, you guys know I played softball. I hit some dingers last night. Now, hey, Tony's not here. Well, I guess I should bring that up too. Tony's at Medicarians in Vegas, so I'm without my fearless co-host today. But yeah, definitely had a fun time playing softball last night. And then some of y'all saw my post. My wife had some well-deserved time off this past week, and so she headed out on Friday morning to go to somewhere in Arkansas. I can't remember, to meet up with family and friends and go see Rascal Flatts. So I had the three kids this weekend, and it was just really cool being just kind of like a present father and just being around them. I don't spend like every single day with them, or at least days in a row, right? And just being there and being present. It was really cool to have that time with my kiddos. But then the big weekly win today is April 2nd. So yesterday we were reviewing our numbers for the month of March, and Clearview, we had a milestone month. We did over 2 million in new business. We've done about $5.5 million in new business premium just in quarter one. So really excited about that. And we just huge shout out to all of our Clearview agents, and it would not be possible without y'all. So guys, drop those weekly wins in the comments. I can see Marshall, Matt, what up? Aurora, hey, Aurora, how are you? Crystal, I see you on here. Laura, thanks for tuning in. Guys, drop those weekly wins in the comments. Even if you're catching the replay, we want to be able to celebrate you. But y'all, without further ado, like I said, it's been a while since we've had him on the show. I'm really excited to have him on. I didn't even prepare any questions or anything. Like, we are just going to chop it up. And honestly, I'm probably going to shut up most of the time, because I love everything that our guest is going to bring to the table for you guys this morning, and there's more to follow. So without further ado, everybody, welcome my good buddy, a mentor of mine, somebody who has changed the way that I look at life and how I communicate, Mr. Nate Auffort. What's going on, my man?
What's happening, man? I got to step my virtual background up with how good you're looking, man. where I like move my computer back so I can like display all my cool stuff.
Yeah. It's funny though. Remember when you first were like hopping on the show, like we didn't have the intro or the song or the
this is awesome. I can't see any comments though. I looked at comments, but I don't understand. Maybe I'm not logged in or something.
It only flows through Facebook because of how stream. I've got them pulled up. So yeah, if you guys have any questions or anything as we're going through this, definitely drop them in the comments.
I can't see them. I can't see them.
I'll bring them up. I'll bring them up for you. Don't you worry, Nate.
Well, you have to tell me who's doing what or what questions they have. So how are you, Joe Camper?
Dude, I'm doing good, man. It's quarter two, which is crazy. Q1 just freaking flew by, man. But having a blast to start the year and just.
How old are you now?
I'm 30.
Jeez, I can't even call you a young kid anymore. Well, I guess I can't since I'm 50 now. So I guess
the big 5-0. But real quick, Nate, for anybody that doesn't know you, man, Nate's been in the group for years now, y'all. And I'll let him kind of explain what he does and even the shirt he's wearing. And you guys see me drink out of this every single week. Shout out to SWAT, Strategic Wealth Accumulation Tactics. But
is that why I'm paying you for endorsements every month? Is that what I'm doing?
Yeah, you're also sponsoring the show now too. But for anybody that doesn't know you, Nate, just give them a 30,000 foot overview. I know some people have heard it before, but just let them know who you are. We have a ton of new members in here. We're up to almost 9,000. So I know the last time you were on, we weren't at 9,000. So
that's awesome. You know what, Joe? I think you should get the 30,000 foot overview, man. You've been the first event we did. You were at. I remember that because I did all these events, and it's not like I want to go put on an event and not make any money because that's usually what happens when you have events or you're putting more than you're getting out of it. It wasn't about me wanting to be, some guru in the insurance space or anything like that. It kind of just came out of necessity and how I was kind of raised up in this business and the businesses I was in before where, I don't want to give a whole big background. It's not that important, but I, like everybody else, I grew up, went to college and, actually not like everybody else, they probably got the degree. I got kicked out twice, so I never got my degree. So coming into the sales arena in my 20s, I didn't have a lot of clout. I didn't have a lot of background. I think Martin's Aquarium, where I scrub fish tanks for a living, making $3.35 an hour. I had the coolest aquariums in the house. I didn't make any money because I took all the money I made and spent it on that. I upgraded to dressing up like a cow and standing in the Cherry Hill Mall, handing out chicken nuggets. And I think I graduated to a waiter, so a lot of great background to be able to go out and be an entrepreneur. And I never forget when I first went out on my own and being an entrepreneur, I went to this event. And they instilled so much in me that, like, if you ever want to get what you want out of life, you got to be willing to go against the grain. Find out, is what they said. Find out what everyone's doing and do the exact opposite. I'm like, holy cow, what? It's like, well, look at what everyone's doing. Everyone else is usually going off of a cliff, going broke, working a dead-end job, working for somebody else that are 67 years old, and they're not getting anything out of life that they want. They can't be do what they want, when they want, where they want, with who they want, right? And like, what kind of life is that? And they talked about, they're pretty harsh. Like, it's almost like you're a slave, right? And I'm not saying that to be politically incorrect or offend anybody, but that's kind of the message was like, just over broke, man. A job you gave up on life. Like you just said, you know what? I give up. Let someone else take the risk. Let someone else tell me what I'm worth. Let me get someone else tell me the ceiling I am. Let someone else tell me when I can play with my kids and when I can take them on vacation. Let someone else tell me, when I'm allowed to take time off or if I have too many paid sick days and when to go to lunch and what hours I got to show up. If you really think about it, and I never really stopped to think about it, but like, was that your dream in the sandbox when you were little? Did you sit there in a sandbox playing with your trucks? And if you're guys, we played with trucks and Star Wars figures and G.I. Joes. And like, I am dating myself now. People are like, what? We played with Nintendo and Xbox. And
Sorry.
No, we were outside. We were playing in the sandbox, right? And we were, the street was, one day it was the number one Major League Baseball stadium in the world on our street. The next day it turned into the number one hockey rink. And the next day it was tackle football on the street, which probably wasn't the smartest thing to do, but we had pads, we had pads.
Yeah.
We didn't have helmets on our bikes, that's for sure. Things have changed. I didn't even know what a seatbelt was when I was a kid, right?
Right.
And so growing up in an environment where we struggled financially, it was like, money's not everything until you don't have any. And then it becomes all encompassing. And I think I see so many people that achieve at high levels because they lived a life where their parents did what they could and they did what they were taught. But they never could really, like, they go to I'd go to a restaurant, and I always remember we had to read it from the right side of the menu to the left. And you've never been broke, you don't know what that means, right? It just means that you got to look at the prices before you can even figure out, can we afford that food? We would go out to McDonald's, and that was a big deal. We'd go from our house to the shore, and we'd pack the whole family in, and we'd stop at McDonald's, and that was a big deal. It was once a year, twice a year if we were lucky. Or we'd have like a special day where we had a T-bone steak, and we split it 6 ways, you know. And I'm not complaining or I had a great upbringing, and my parents loved me. However, at the same time, it was like, man, I went to a private school. We couldn't afford to go. My dad worked for Association of Baptists for World Evangelism, so he got tuition paid for him. So we're hanging around all these rich kids. You know, back then, I know you don't know, you know, Saved by the Bell was the deal, man. Everyone wanted to be Zach, you know, and we had the rolled up pants and the Z Cavaricis that were $100 pants and the IOU sweatshirts and the, you know, some of you guys have no idea what I'm talking about, right? Google like 80s, right? That's how I grew up in the 80s. I graduated in 1993 from high school, barely. And, you know, I'm around all these other people, and here I am wearing clothes that my mom bought at a yard sale. You know, Saturday mornings consisted of my dad, you know, doing what do you call them? I hate to say the word, coupons.
Yeah.
Clipping coupons to save 20 cents. And can you imagine 30 cents, 20 cents, buy one, get one half off. And he spent hours at the table clipping coupons while my mom sat on the other end for hours, taking the classified ads, circling out in a big map. I remember these big maps would be on our kitchen table on Sunday morning, mapping out where she's going to go to buy other people's junk. And then we'd load me in the car with my 3 sisters, and we'd go around and shop and buy something for $0.25 and buy something for 10 cents. And my mom, God bless her soul, she'd sew in she'd go to the Salvation Army and find old torn up stuff, and she'd take the Gap what do you call them, sticker, whatever it is, tags, and then she'd sew them in my shirt. I'm like, Mom, everyone knows that's not a Gap shirt. You know, I appreciate it, but it's not a Gap shirt, right? So growing up in that environment, when I got out of that environment, I started being exposed to people that were wealthy. I was just like, whoa, like, man, God, like what they got to know stuff I don't know. Right. And I got involved in sales, and I went broke, man. I went miserably broke. And it was in an organization, network marketing. Let's just, you know, let you know what that is. If you don't know what network marketing is, it's like, you know, you build an organization, a distribution team, and you start recruiting friends and family to go sell your products. And unfortunately, most people don't sell anything. They just buy it. It becomes a buyer's club. But at the trainings I started to go to, it just changed my whole vision in life. It changed who I was as a person. But I got beat in pretty quick that if you had a job, it was like an STD, dude. It was like you gave up on life, man. Like you just threw in the towel. You said, I can't do it anymore. I'm done. Let's have a job. And I look back, I probably should have had a part-time job while I was trying to make my way in my life. But I was like, I gave up. I'm not having a job. So I was $100,000 in debt. My sponsor quit when I first got started. So I was out on my own. I'm living in a 1-bedroom apartment with 8 other buddies of mine on air mattresses. I mean, some of them were full-grown adults, right? And my car got repoed. You know, I always say, if you never been broke, if you weren't literally on a Thursday night and you guys are talking about whether we should have steak or chicken, and the only difference is the packet you open up and pour in your ramen noodles. You know what I'm saying? It's like that was our steak and this was our chicken.
Yeah.
You know, and I always talk about, you know, you never been broke unless you ate Wheaties with orange juice. Someone asked me, like, why would you eat Wheaties with orange juice? Because there was no milk in the fridge. And I couldn't afford to buy anymore, and water sucked. Right? So I was – and the hard part about this was, Joe, and I think same thing in this industry or industry, I was watching people around me win. They're pulling up in Mercedes at the office, and I'm walking to the office. And I don't have a car because it got repoed.
Right.
People are buying Rolex's watches, and I'm like, I wish I could even afford to know what time it is. And it was almost degrading because you look at it, you're like, I have the same company, the same opportunity, the same product. Why are they getting wealthy and why am I not? And you start to have self-doubt. And am I really cut out for this? Am I really meant to be an entrepreneur? They must have something I don't have. They have the swagger. Or they can talk better than me, or they have a better warm market. All these things and all these doubt. And it started creating like, I gotta, you know, there's something I'm missing here. Something I gotta figure out. There's something that I don't know. And we were in that company for, I say me, I was by myself here, but we were 3 or 4 years in there, and there was a competition that was given where, you know, I know in the insurance industry, they send you all over the place and give competitions, and they send you out to, you know, Paris, and then the next week you're in Malta, and then you're in Banff, and then you're in this, you know, so if you like to travel, I mean, this industry is crazy. I got bored of it. I think one year we won 12 trips.
It's like,
oh my God. It's sorry for you. Yeah. Think about it. A week, every month, sometimes 2 weeks in a month, they doubled up. You're gone on a trip. It's all full expense paid and everything else, but it's like, I got to go back and work.
Right.
In the company, they ran a contest, and my upline won, and they got sick and they couldn't go. Right. So I was like, they said, do you want to go? I'm like, yeah, I want to go. And it just so happened that this trip was to the owner's house. And this guy, I mean, my first event I went to, there was 13,000 people there, Joe, who paid $3,000 a piece to hear him speak for 2.5 days in the MGM Grand Theater. And I got involved in the business, and I was broke, and I was a college kid, and I was 50 grand in debt by then. And they talked about buying products and getting a desk and investing in yourself and running ads to recruit. And I'm like, yeah, I'm in. I'm like, okay, great. It's going to be $800 for your desk every month. I don't have that. And it's going to be $300 to hook up your phone. Well, certainly don't have that. And if you want to run an ad, you got to do a 4-line high. Now, some of you guys are my age. You know what I'm talking about. Classified ads. You had to have the big and bold, and every line was $25. So the title itself was $100 for the week. Plus, you had to do your body. So you're talking about $200 to $300 per ad. They're saying if you want to succeed, you want to run 3 or 4 a week. Plus, you're in an office where there's 25 other people running 3 or 4 a week. So there's probably 100 ads in a newspaper, and you're in a race to see who picks up the phone first so you can get that person. And then what they don't tell you is that every phone call in and every phone call out is 8 cents. So when you get your first bill for your office and you have your office phone, it's $1,286, and you're like, right. You know, you got to get products. You got to invest in your business. And I'm like, I don't need money. And I'll never forget because one of the guys in the office looked at me. He's like, oh, you don't have any money? And at that time I had a car. And he asked me, he said, well, how'd you get here to work today or to the office? I said, I drove a car. He's like, oh, cool. What kind of car you got? I was like, oh, a Nissan Maxima, you know, whatever it is. He goes, did you buy that cash? I said, no, I couldn't afford to buy it cash. He's like, so what did you do? I said, I financed it. He's like, oh, okay. So you saw a car you couldn't afford and you use other people's money to finance it to buy a depreciating asset. Got it. Okay, great. And where do you live at? I said, I live in an apartment. Did you buy that apartment complex? I said, no. He's like, did you buy the unit? I said, well, of course not. I didn't have the money to do that. He's like, so what are you doing? I said, I'm renting it. Oh, okay. So you saw value in getting a structure for you to live in, probably more than what you could afford, because let's just call a spade, you know, with your level of income, you probably could go live down where somewhere in the, you know, cheap area where it's $100, $200 a month for rent back then or whatever. And you know, bars on your windows and drug-ridden neighborhoods and everything else, but you chose not to because you don't think that was safe for you. So you financed a place to live when you couldn't afford it by using other people's money. I said, well, yeah, what are you talking about? He's like, well, I'm telling you, you need to get products. You need to go to this event. You need to get trained. You need to get a phone. If you want to do this the right way, you got to come up. You're probably have to come up with like 10 grand. And I'm like, well, I don't have that money. He's like, no, Nate. No. You just told me you bought a car you couldn't afford. You have a house you can't afford. Now you're telling me you can't afford to invest in this business. So don't tell me you can't afford it. Just tell me you don't see the value in investing in yourself.
Powerful.
It's like, like that was rough.
Right.
And he said, you know, one other thing, my mentor, there's a guy that was owning a company, taught me one thing. He said, why should I invest in somebody who's not willing to invest in themselves?
That's good.
And I found the way, Joe. I went out and I sold stuff and I got a credit card and I did creative financing and I booked my airline ticket and I paid $3,000 and I got my phone hooked up and I got my products and I got my ads in the newspaper. And then my sponsor quit. So fast forward after about 3 years of misery and going more in debt because I couldn't figure it out. I had this opportunity to meet this gentleman. And the guy was making $1 million a week. This is back in the 90s where it was cool to show off your stuff. You know what I'm saying? It was like he had, 158 exotic cars, from Lamborghinis to Ferraris to the car that Elvis Presley shot a bullet hole in and one out of 38 Tuckers and, were ever made and a Vector V12 with the Statue of Liberty on it. Just sick stuff. 10 homes. And he walked out one time with a watch on his arm. He couldn't even see the stage because it was so blingy. It's like a $250,000 watch. I'm just like, I've never been around this wealth. And my first event I went to, we were late and not late. We were late at registering. I was sitting in the back row. Imagine sitting at a concert at the tippy top in the very, very back row. And this guy walks out on stage in his glittery suit and, the crowd stands up and cheers. And they're on their feet, and they stood there for like 2-3 minutes just doing a standing ovation. And I looked at my buddy that I came with, Joe, and I hit him in the elbow and I go, dude, one day I'm going to work with that guy. And he laughed, and it was a buddy from college who got me in the business. And he laughed. He was like, dude, look around. He's like, you're nothing but a number. Then fast forward 4 years, I have a chance to go to this guy's house. So what are you feeling, right? I'm like, oh my God, I'm in. Yeah, I'm going, right? And we pull up in Summerlin, Vegas. And we go through one gate and another gate. And he's living right on the golf course. And he's got this beautiful estate and, the pool outside with the ping pong table and the pool table and everything. And man, I walked in there and I never in my life walked into such opulence. Like I literally walked in and my mouth hit the floor. There was this crystal, it was probably a couple $1 million about my height sitting to the corner. It's purple, blue amethyst crystal. It was just incredible. And I look up and there's a, normally like when you look up and there's like those little enclaves inside the house, you like see some plants or some things from Target or a little basket, and some, whatever Christmas time, there's some elves up there with their feet dangling off. No, there was a $175,000 anniversary edition Harley Davidson as a decoration. We had a construction crew come in and spend 4 days building it to be able to hold it.
Right.
Because he was in the garage one day. He goes, hey, I think that would look good up there. And they're like, well, like, make it happen. And so I got there and I started chasing him around, right? I'm like, here's my chance. Here's my spot. Like, here's the guy where people are like in line for hours to get his autograph and to hear him speak. He's making $1 million a week. He helped other people become financially independent. And I followed him around like a little bug. I'm like, well, what about this? And what about that? And what about this? And what about that? What about this? And what about that? And he would answer me and he'd be nice. And he would, and you actually met him. You heard him speak. So you can imagine this dynamic now, right? When you actually see him, meet him and see who he is, you're kind of like, okay, well, this is okay. I get the story now. If you don't have no idea what I'm talking about, you're kind of like, okay, so what? Powerful guy. And then we go to the ping pong table. I chase him over there and the pool table. And like, it got so probably annoying. He disappeared for a while. Couldn't find him. Then he came back and I'm on his ass again, asking questions. So the next day we go to the corporate office. We're done. And it's in Vegas. It's, I think, 25, 30,000 square foot building, all mirrored window. It was beautiful, beautiful. You walk in his office, it's like this gold everything. Like, I was just like, oh my God, gold plated freaking, what do you call it? Conference table. You can only imagine like back then that'd be like Trump's office, right? Where it just like, it was just gold, right? And I forgot my shoes. And back then you would suit up, right? So I had my one suit I had from Sears and I had different ties and different shirts. So I changed them up each day and sometimes throw a vest on, whatever. So they didn't know it's the same suit.
Same suit.
Yeah. And I walk in the room. I'm the first one there, right? And I walk in. I'm like, hello, sir. How are you? He's like, how are you, Nate? He's like, nice shoes. And he just went back to doing what he's doing.
It's like, damn, dude.
Yeah, I'm wearing flip-flops in the middle of this guy who's worth, more than I ever even imagine anyone can make. And I sat down. The rest of the people ushered in. He's like, I hope everyone had a good day yesterday. Does anyone have any questions besides Nate? And we were done. I felt this big. And I got up afterwards and I walked up and I said, hey, sir, I really like to work with you. Is there any way I can get your pager number? Because back then that was it. He had the one cell phone behind his desk. I'll never forget. It was like this big and it had like a brick around it. You had to plug it in and all that stuff. And I was like, I didn't know how to call a cell phone back then. And oh man, God, I can't. How do we do business? Like we would leave our office, Joe, come back and then check our voicemail, and no one could get a hold of us.
It's crazy.
And we go home for the weekend and no one could get a hold of us. We didn't have email. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have a phone. Like we had a home phone, but you only gave your home phone number out to the most important people in your life. And so like you had a life and then you come back to work and you have a life. It was crazy because all this technology now, it's like you're on this leash. Everyone can get a hold of you at any given time. And if you don't respond back in 30 seconds or less, it's like, what are you doing? Question mark. What's up? The emoji. It's like, where are you at? What are you doing? It's like, dude, you're not the only 485 people who texted me today. You're not the only 4,485 emails I got today. When I look, what did I even look at my emails today? 5,677 unanswered emails. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Not counting my, let's look at the phone, like what do you got here? We got you guys, some of you guys, you die. 500 missed text messages. You can see that. And then look at my mail.
Jeez, Nate.
So it's crazy because now like people can beep you. They can like hello upside down and 911, and you go find a quarter to go to a pay phone. I mean, insane. Anyway, I'm not sure why I went down that road. And I said, can I get your page number? I really want to work with you. And he's like, let me ask you a question. How long have you been doing this? I said, I've been doing it for 4 years, sir. And he's like, what's your biggest check? I go through 36, I think it was $3,600. And he's like, what level are you at? I'm like, stupid advisor. And I thought it was funny. And he's like, what did you say? I said, stupid advisor. He goes, we don't have that level in this company. I'm like, well, I meant supervisor, but I've been there so long, I feel stupid. He goes, that's your first problem. And I'm like, oh, shit. He's like, watch yourself talk, because whatever you tell yourself is going to happen. And right now you think you're stupid, so you are stupid. When do you want to change being stupid? I said, well, today, sir. He's like, then don't call yourself stupid anymore. Then call yourself a supervisor. This is your race. Not everyone's race is the same. You can't compare yourself to, and he started going on and on and on. And I was just like, wow. And I'm just like taking all this in going, man, okay, great. This makes sense. I'm like, well, can I have a page number and work with you? And he goes, well, what was the most volume you ever did? I said, $17,000. He goes, great. If you go out and do 25 this month, I'll give you my pager number. And he walked out of the room. I mean, what would you be thinking, Joe?
I mean, there's so much that you can unpack from I hope you guys are listening to this, because even though Nate was kind of going through that story, there was a lot of gold and a lot of value that you were just dropping in there. I mean, I've heard it before, right? But it's like, well, shit, the whole reason, how am I going to sell 25 if I've never done 25? And you just, wait, hold on. I'm supposed to get the secret sauce from you, aren't I? Like, what the heck? Yeah.
And you know what's so hilarious or so funny or so life-changing? Guess how much volume I did that next month?
25.
32,500.
32. Let's go.
Same product, same company, same no car, same no sponsor, same comp plan. Nothing changed. I still had an air mattress. I still didn't have a car. I still had one suit. Nothing changed. Except one thing. What was that one thing that changed? I don't know if you know this answer.
I mean, something up here.
Yes, but it was more than that. For the first time in my life, I had something big enough to lose I wasn't willing to lose. And I made those extra phone calls, and I stayed in the office later, and I talked to every single breathing person that I knew when I was standing in line at the bakery or in line at the bank, and I would get the middle seat on an airplane so I could have someone to my right and someone to my left. So I pissed the person off to my right. I recruit the person to my left, right? And I was so intentional about, like, this is an opportunity of a lifetime. I cannot afford to lose it. So, and I started to realize I knew everything I needed to know to achieve that level. I just didn't have a reason big enough, not a why. I love people go, oh, well, why are you doing this? Throw it for my kids. Well, how come you're still broke? If you're doing it for your kids, you want to be broke. Sorry to tell you, I'm doing it for money. Well, if you're doing it for money, you want to be broke. Money's not a motivator. Your kids aren't a motivator. All this stuff that you think a motivator. Unfortunately, as a human being, what motivates us the most is fear of loss.
Yep.
Now, you can say you're doing it for your kids, and I hate using this example. I know Andy Elliott goes here all the time, right? But you can say, I'm doing it for my kids, and you can be doing it for your kids as your why. But at the moment someone walked into your house and said, if I don't have 10 grand within 2 weeks, I'm taking your kids and they're dead, nothing else at that point matters. Different shift, isn't it? I'm doing it for my kids. I'm doing it for my kids. Holy cow. If I don't do it in 2 weeks, I lose my kids. That's a different motivator.
Yeah.
That's internal. Does it really? Do you think you're going to hear stuff like, well, Joe's not a good time. My sister's getting married this weekend. We got a lot on our plate. And my grandma, she's in the hospital. We need to go. Would anyone say anything?
Hell no. No.
Hell no. You got kids?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else would matter. Nothing.
Yeah.
It would be dead focused, everything I possibly can do, and I'm going to save my kids' lives. And that's what it takes to achieve wealth. And I learned that lesson early on. So therefore, whenever I thought, oh, why am I not here? And I was making $3,000 a month, $3,600 a month. And from that one lesson, Joe, I went from $3,600 a month to $20,000 a month. And I was a millionaire in a year and a half.
Wow.
Oh my God. I
mean, seriously, isn't that crazy? I want to unpackage some of what you just went through there, because again, y'all, through that story, I literally already have a full freaking page of notes. And I actually, if you're okay with it, Nate, I have my booklet, and you were talking about, hey, I'm going to work with that guy someday, right? And it's the blueprint. And if you're okay with it, I know that's from the conference, but if you're okay with me sharing a page, I'd love to share it, because it was crazy.
Yeah, we do a blueprint of your life at SWAT, and we literally, and I want to preempt this before you talk about it, because this was another life-changing thing in my life. He said most people put more time and energy picking out a birthday present for a friend or planning a trip for a vacation for their family than they ever do designing their life. And I was like, whoa, yeah, you're right. And he's like, who do you know that actually sat down and has mapped out where you're going to be in the next 20 years? Mentally, physically, spiritually, socially, all the areas in your life, not just not making money, but where are you going to be? Where are you going to live? What kind of family are you going to have? Who's going to be your partner for life? And my God, most people don't think past what we doing this Friday night.
Right.
And then you take it from 10 years, 20 years, and 10 years, and 5 years, and 1 year, and 9 months, and 6 months, and 3 months, and 1 month, and weekly, and daily. And they go, okay, great. Here's where you want to be. And you spend hours putting down. And it was probably one of the hardest exercises I ever did, because it forced me to look outside my comfort zone and go, who do I really want to be?
Mm-hmm.
Where do I want to live? What do I want my house to look like? Who do I want to marry? What do I want my kids to be like? What area of the country? Like all this stuff. And if you think about it, can you imagine getting on an airplane tomorrow? And those of you guys that are coming to SWAT, so you're sitting there, right? The SWAT's on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 15th to the 17th. You're all ready to go. You're fired up. I'm going to learn the stuff that he knew that changed his life. And you're on the plane, and you're with your wife or your spouse or your husband, your team, and you're all excited to go. And next thing you know, you hear the guy get on there, and always sounds like they swallowed the microphone, right? Welcome to American Flight AA 5616. Hope you guys are doing good today, and we're not really sure where we're going today, but we hope when we get there that you like where you're at. And then it gets off.
Like, wait, what?
How many? I think the whole plane would be whoa, that call button that never gets used. It accidentally gets hit when you're trying to turn your light on, and then the stewardess gets mad at you for doing it. Like I've done that a couple times by accident, and she thought I was doing it on purpose.
Trying to turn my light on.
Like, well, quit turning the freaking thing off right next to where the light thing is, and it's completely dark in the plane. I'm trying to hit the light. Next thing you know, ding! You're hitting the call button. Go, whoa, wait! I'm going to Dallas. Oh no, we're just getting an airplane. We're gonna fly wherever we land, and we hope you're happy when you get there. No. I'm going to Dallas. Like, how dumb is that? Can you imagine waking up in the morning and your wife goes, "Hey, Joe," she kisses you goodbye, and you're like, "Where are you going?" "I don't know." "What do you mean you don't know?" "I'm just going to drive." "Okay." And she's kind of scratching her head, and you get home at 5:00 and say, "How was your day?" "It was great, honey. What'd you do?" Drove around." "Where?" "That's driving around." "Okay." And the next day you wake up and kisses you goodbye, and like, "Where are you headed today?" "I'm just going to go drive around." "What do you mean, Joe?" "Like, I'm just trying to drive around." Like, after a day or two, you think your wife might be like, we need to get Joe some help.
Right.
For the last 3 days, he got up and went out, had no idea where he's going, just driving around, and came home at 5:00. And I finally asked him, like, "Joe, what are you doing?" He's like, "Well, everyone else is driving around." And if you break it down to that, it's like that's what most people's lives are. They get up, they go to work, they do whatever they got to do, raise their kids, feed their family, go back to bed, wake up, watch the news, go back to bed, go to work, and they have no direction. They don't even know where they're going to go. And they're just driving around, and they wonder why their life sucks. And you look back in 20, 30 years, like, where'd my life go? What did I accomplish? What happened? It went by so fast.
Right. Well, it goes back to the first note that I took here. You just said it. Well, everybody else is doing it. And you said one of the first things is you got to be willing to go against the grain, though. Right. I mean, it's like, and that's well, everybody else is doing it. And that is just a world in the freaking culture that we live in, man, where a lot of it is like, well, he's doing it, so I guess I should just probably do that. Right. And even, I mean, you touched on it too, is how I was raised. You go to school, you go to college, you get your degree, you get a good job, right? Just over broke. A few other things too. You put the expense versus investment, right? When you're sitting there thinking about the price of that phone and the price of that desk and the price. I remember, man, because you met me and my dad right at that mindset shift for us, where it was everything was a fucking expense, man. Like, I mean, it was like, oh my gosh. And there are all things that literally were an investment and made us better, which ultimately we were able to kind of change that mindset. But that was such a big piece for us, man. And now, obviously, with you being in life insurance and the business that you do, it's like, so many agents do. They'll look at leads, they'll look at systems, they'll look at training, they'll look at literally just mentorship or anything like that as an expense. And y'all, I'm telling you, and Nate is the freaking testament to it, dude, it is an investment in you. And like you said, so many people are not willing to take the time or even the energy, whether it's monetary or not, even just the energy. I mean, you can go to events or like a conference for $97 these days and people still won't freaking do it. And it's like, you got to be kidding me, man. But then you wonder why the people sitting up front are paying $3, but then they continue to sit up front every freaking year. It's like, why do
That's
they?
the reason why. I mean,
right.
It's death to your business. I can give you a Lamborghini or a Ferrari or a Vector V12 or you name the car you want to drive. And if there's no gas in the tank, you're not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And investing in your business, that I learned, is not a maybe. It's not maybe I will when I can. That's about as dumb as saying I'm going to hire a tutor when I get A's, Joe. Oh, let me chop some wood. Once that fire starts giving me heat, I'll give it some wood, because that's how we're taught. You know, you give me and I'll give back.
Right.
Give me a salary and I'll come to work for you whenever you tell me to be there. Give me this and I'll do that. And in business and an entrepreneur, it's complete opposite. You got to give before you get. You got to chop the wood and you got to do the work and you got to put it in the thing when you're freezing cold and your gloves are on and you got earmuffs on and it's negative 20 degrees out before you can light the fire.
Right. Right.
So like all this stuff about like, you know, never design your life. And I went through this event, which you got to go through too as well. And I sat there and for the first time in my life, I mapped out my life. And I'm getting chills right now because I'm sitting in this house. I literally have chills too, dude. I'm sitting in a house that I drew out. And if you come to the event, you'll see it's creepy, that I drew out when I was 20. I'm married to the woman for 11 years that I put on my piece of paper that I would marry. Not her name, but the exact description. You can see it there. 20 years old, writing, I want to have an exotic woman that sounds like Sofia Vergara, that looks like, you know, a Playboy. Boom. Like every single thing, my sports car, my house, my Rolexes, my wife, boom, 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 boom. Everything I put on that piece of paper, I've accomplished. in the time period I thought I was going to accomplish. And people go, oh, that's too good to be true. Well, no, I had a map.
Let me read mine. Let me read
mine.
I
want to do that introduction, but you see how powerful it is because before you read this, look, I just needed a map. People go, oh, that seems unrealistic. I don't know. If I plug in my phone now, which we didn't have back then, I put a GPS and I want to go visit Joe and he puts his location in here and I just hit go. Why is it so surprising I wind up at Joe's house? The challenge is most of you guys hit your GPS and there's no map on there. You don't even know what you're doing tomorrow or Friday or maybe until the end of the month. Most 6 months out. Not putting in your calendar, but where's my life going to be? And so if I have that mapped out and I get to create my own GPS and I hit go, guess what? Your brain and subconscious mind, believe it or not, will follow the map you gave it. And it's not like, oh, well, yeah, he has everything. That's too good to be true. I don't believe it. Well, I don't believe that the fact that I go, hey, I want to go to Taco Bell, search nearby, hit go, and my car's going to take me there. Well, yeah, the GPS shows me the direction because I mapped out I want to go to Taco Bell. But if I sit there and look at my GPS for hours upon hours and upon hours, and I never put in a destination, how good, no matter how great that ability of that GPS to get me to where I want to go, I'm not going anywhere because I'm all looking at a map and it's blank and there's no directions. So you got to go experience this and we got to put some directions on it. I'd love to hear what you're about to say on this.
And it's from years ago, but I wanted to share it because literally I was talking to an agent about, and I wrote it down too, what you say matters. And I'll go one level deeper with you on just the GPS. I think maybe some people have gone to SWAT and they have gone through this and mapped out 20 years, but then within year 2 or year 3, guess what, y'all? It's not always smooth sailing all the way on the road, right? There's reroutes, there's roadblocks, there's traffic, there's things that will
your cell signal goes out and you lose your map and directions.
Right. But then that's where they give up. They won't stay with the map, right? Because again, to your point, subconsciously, you will get yourself back on there. I love that you said that too, man. I know we were talking a little bit about it yesterday before I get into this. Of just, man, there's no better time to perform, or at least, I don't know, I perform the best. And some people don't perform well this way, but dude, back me into a corner, bro. Like, let me like where my only option is success. And that's more of a mindset thing for me where I will
there. Everyone performs better when they're backed into a corner.
Yeah.
The difference is most people, when they get backed in a corner, give up because they're too scared. They feel the obstacle's too big. They feel like they don't have what it takes to make it through, and they whine. They become victims. They become dramatic. They want to tell all their friends and family about how bad their life is so they can get that reassurance that you're okay, we're praying for you, and all this stuff. And in reality, they have the ability. Every human being, it says it in the Bible, God will never give you something that's too great for you to be able to deal with. And that's the NIV version, guys, Nate International Version, okay? But, and it talks about that. One of the greatest success books in the world talks about it. And if you look at that book, Think and Grow Rich, right there.
Yep.
Every single, and I can't wait to hear this thing, right? But 20-year study, Joe, on the richest people that walk the planet Earth. And Andrew Carnegie wasn't from here. He was a recorded billionaire from another country. And he's sitting in his ivory tower hanging out with Charles Schwab and King Gillette and Henry Ford and J.C. Penney and Wallmaker and the Rockefellers.
Yep.
Like, how the hell are we all wealthy? And they're looking down from their ivory tower, and there's a bunch of people, lines of hundreds of people standing around at soup kitchens looking for a free handout. Economy the same, country the same, opportunity the same. Wealthy can't afford to eat.
Right.
And his brain's going, what is the difference? What's the difference? We hired someone, they studied for 20 freaking years, Joe. 20 years. 20-year study. Oh, amazingly enough, Napoleon Hill became a multimillionaire after studying wealthy people for 20 years. Oh, imagine that.
Right.
And they wrote a book called Laws of Success. It was several books, and they were like Encyclopedia Britannicas, and no one would read them. So they condensed it down to like the Reader's Digest version. They call it Think and Grow Rich. I've read them both. Laws of Success, Think and Grow Rich. Many, 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 many times. It's like the Bible of the business. And the number one underlying factor they found in there is they said we can trace back everyone's wealth, everyone's success in their life. Not about money, it's about wealth. Wealth is entitlement to physical, spiritual, emotional, mental, social, financial, all of that tied in.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's wealth, the level of wealth they achieved was completely congruent with the amount of shit they had to go through to get it. Whoa. There wasn't one exception like, this guy didn't go through a lot and he's really wealthy. No, it was the amount. So if you were a millionaire, you had millionaire obstacles. If they were a billionaire, they had billionaire obstacles.
Mm-hmm.
And it was congruent completely. Like, it was like, whoa, like this, what a test for 20 years to go, okay, get you two sides of the line, where you want to be and what you got to give up to get it. And it wasn't ever like, well, he got here and he really didn't have to give up anything. No, he got here, he gave up this. He got here, he gave up this. They got here, they gave up this. And it was a monumental shift in my mindset going, whoa, this is a law. This is a principle. I have to invest in my business. I have to be willing to go through obstacles. I have to be willing to have my back against the wall. I have to put myself in uncomfortable situations. I have to not fall in love with my stuff because my stuff doesn't define me. And I learned very, very often why I was able to start over 3 or 4 times in my life and not think about it twice. He said, because you're not going to want that stuff in 10 years. And you can always buy more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Ever seen a hearse pulling a U-Haul, Nate? And guess what? If you fall in love with your stuff and your car and your house and your jewelry and all this materialistic stuff that doesn't matter, you'll never get where you want in life because wealthy people are not afraid to give up what they have to get what they want.
Yeah.
And you'll see people and they'll give up. They have nothing and they'll shoot to the top. They start having stuff and you'll see them fall right back down because now they fell in love with their stuff. Oh, I don't want to lose this. I'm not going back being broke. And they don't want to get rid of what they have. They're so in love to trying to save what they built.
Mm-hmm.
They never can go to the next level.
Right.
And that was a huge lesson too. So
and a big piece of that too. You're saying I have to do this. You have to sit down and map out your freaking life. So I want to read this to you guys. This was now most of y'all know this by now and have listened to my story about how everything that happened with Redwood and with my pops and everything like that. And so this is the reason I brought up the roadblock and the obstacles was this was accurate, but then what I wanted for myself turns out what I achieved I was like, oh, I guess I didn't really think about that, but it's like so spot on. And I was doing my House of Dreams training with an agent and we were backing into goal. We were doing I do personal goals and then financial goals. And then we associate them. So then you have, your why behind the actual, it's not just some dollar sign floating around out there. Right. And we do a lot of that too. And I'm going through it and I was like, holy shit. I said, I got $90,000 right now. I'm like, dude, oh my gosh, no freaking way. And I pull this out, dude. And it was literally my 3 months. It was right after SWAT in 2023. And it was spot on. And I was like, shut up, dude. Like it is my subconscious. Now, the year from now, it looks different, but there's other things. But I want to read this to you guys. And one thing I do love, thank you for this, Nate. I actually I'm enjoying this selfishly. So I hope you guys are too. But I needed this, man. I appreciate your time. So 1 year from now, and you do the whole 20, which I also love. Because people will shortchange themselves if they start, 3 months from now, I want to be here. 6 months from now. No, start 20 and work backwards and then see how much you think you're worth, right? I love the backwards side of that too. But 1 year from now, and this was in, I guess, May of 2023. Mm-hmm. So 1 year from now, I'll be happily married, a national franchise director at Clearview, which I am, building an internal insurance agency and making $50K a month. I'm not right at the 50K, but I have my own internal agency and I'm the national franchise director of Clearview Insurance. Okay? This was all before Redwood sold or it merged with Clearview, or I was even I had never even sold a franchise freaking before. Didn't even know the contract. I mean, it was crazy, right? Have accomplished paying off all the credit cards, debt, etc., and managed to make my parents $1 million plus. I also have a net worth of $1 million, and I will own some land to build on, our cars, and a Rolex watch. Turns out I was able to achieve getting my parents $1 million plus, which turns out that kind of changed my net worth. But so I don't have the million, but and it's crazy how this works, right? And I'm okay with that. And then it's the 6 months from now. The same thing. That's like I was trying to achieve that kind of in those last 6 months of that year. And I'll have a net worth of $350K, and then I will own what we have and getting prepared to buy outright property. Let's go. So this is the one that was literally spot on. Okay. So this was before Redwood had sold. This was before any of that had happened because that was September of 2023. Okay. So I'm writing this down in May, right? And literally 2 months from now.
What your future looks like. You have no idea you're going to sell Redwood. You have no idea what's going to happen. You have no idea what's going to hit you aside the head with a 2x4.
Or that my parents are going to get this. Or I mean, it's crazy.
Being here to like, wow, I'm losing family. I'm losing my business. I'm losing and you didn't even know any of that was coming.
Yeah. Nope. And then so 2 months from now, okay, this is right after SWAT. I will be the national director of franchises at Clearview Insurance. I will have sold a portion of Redwood for $1.2 million. And gotten back on my feet financially. I will have accomplished, I put the above, haha. I will have a net worth of $90,000 and I will own what we have now, preparing financially for 2024. So a couple of years ago, right? And I'm going through this training with my guy and I'm like, And this was kind of like right after SWAT. And I was like, holy crap. I said, oh my gosh, I got to get this out. And it literally turns out, I think we ended up, Redwood got, mom and dad got like 1.4. So it was a little bit over 1.2, which is, we're not going to complain about that. 80% up front. And I literally had 90,000 because I got cut off like 60 grand off of the entire sale. So it's like, I got my little 60, but then I had a 30,000 month. So then I had 90,000 within, I mean, I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And again, even 90,000 is not a small amount of money by any means, but even then a couple of years ago, oh my gosh, like the fact, like 90, when I saw that I'm like, dude, this is like in my account. Oh my gosh. Like, and it's crazy that subconsciously, right? Like I'm writing this down before it even freaking happened. And then what do you know, it happened. So I was hoping you're going to be cool with me reading that, because it's like, dude,
I think it's awesome.
What you say matters. What you write down and how you write it down matters as well. 100%.
You've done a million things right now that you've never thought about. You've been breathing, you've been blinking, you've been moving, and everything is done subconsciously. 95% of everything you do throughout the day is subconscious programming. You just drank. Did you have a conversation with your arm and say, go to the cup, pick it up, slowly bring it to here? No, that's not too fast. Slower. Raise your cup to the mouth. Don't raise too high. Your arm's going to get dislocated. Like, can you imagine?
SWAT.
Right now, yeah, there you go. But can you imagine, like, seriously, like, imagine, like, how many things that you're doing in your subconscious mind? And now neuroscience has proven everything that's been written in that book. Thoughts are things is the first chapter. I mean, yet most people, they just blow it off. How can you do a 20-year study of the most wealthiest people on the planet and go, okay, what should the first chapter be? What should we tell all these people after 20 years of digging around in all the wealthy people's minds and their affairs and what they do and how they run their business? What's the one thing we can give them the first chapter? You got to be boom, 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 boom. No, thoughts are things. First chapter. Whatever you spend your time thinking about is going to happen in your life.
Yep.
I can only imagine what you're talking about, because we're like, oh, see, it didn't work. He didn't hit that. Okay. Can you imagine the first person who ever used GPS?
Yeah.
They had doubt.
Yeah,
true. They were like, there's no way this thing, some satellite in the sky is going to get, like, this is absurd. It's not going to get me there. Do you think maybe they got there a little bit late the first time because maybe they hit some traffic lights and the GPS wasn't where it needed to be because it wasn't dialed in and it was the first person to use it? Like, this is no different.
Right.
This is the first time you ever do it, and you start seeing it happen. Then you're like, okay, next time I do this, and you should do it once a year. That's why we do it at SWAT once a year. Let me get this dialed in more. And it's okay if I hit a couple traffic lights in a detour and I didn't hit that spot. I'm supposed to be there. You'll be there in approximately 12 minutes, and you wind up in 15 minutes. Does it really matter? You're still there.
Right.
Or you go, oh my God, this GPS doesn't work. I said 12 minutes and it's 15 minutes later. No, you hit a traffic light. You had a grandma in front of you that wouldn't turn on red, even though there wasn't a sign, or you had some kid walk across the street, or the train tracks came down, or the fire trucks pulled out of the station. All these things that you have no control over, you still got there.
Right.
So you can't beat yourself up and be like, oh, well, I don't got, that doesn't work, because there, check, almost there. I'm on my way there. I'm halfway there. I had some speed bumps. I had some hurdles. I had some traffic lights. I had some fire engines pull out. I had a dog run across the road. I had to swerve to miss a squirrel. There was a police officer. There was construction. It's okay.
Flat tire. Right.
Yeah, you can't beat yourself up. You just look at it and go, hey, well, I'm halfway there. Well, where would you have been if you never put that to be his destination? You wouldn't be anywhere near there. You'd be driving around with everybody else in circles, hoping that something's going to fall out of the sky and you're going to be wealthy that day. I think here's the question you're going to ask me. No, there's,
in my opinion, all of this, right? And it's how you were, I guess I was bringing it up. Well, it's exposure, right? It's like, when I was first exposed to SWAT and the strategies and everything that you teach in there, it was that exposure. And again, it goes back to a lot of what we hear all the time, y'all, is you don't know what you don't know. And sometimes it takes one person. Sometimes it takes one. Maybe it's this freaking podcast that you're watching with Nate that gets you in the room for whatever. Even if you got to go to the back of the room, it doesn't freaking matter. Just get your butt in the freaking seat. And I promise you that exposure, because I am a testament to it, the exposure and what I have been exposed to, not only just personally, but in my business, has changed everything exponentially positively for my freaking business. I mean, it's crazy. And so, my question to you, Nate, is, and I would like for you to kind of speak to the agents on this and encourage them and kind of enlighten them on how important is freaking exposure in your business. Like, and I say exposure as in, well, there's a lot of things you can be freaking exposed to, and there's a lot of shiny objects that you can also be exposed to. But man, the right exposure, the right person, again, the right show, the right podcast, the right book, that exposure can change everything in your life. What has that done personally? Obviously, I know personally for you, but then what would be your encouragement to agents to go out there and expose themselves to some of these things?
All this is a lifestyle shift. You know, I think someone said to me, he's on TikTok, whatever it is. Like, there's people that used to walk around. This is supposed to be like the old school. And they used to use this, what is it, bamboo bark or something? I hear all natural. It's supposed to be good to brush your teeth. It's supposed to be like the all natural, you know, thing. I'm like, okay, whatever. That's what people used to use to brush your teeth. Remember when the first toothbrush came out? I mean, can you imagine a toothpaste? You know, I remember the story. It was funny because this is just how people are. People went from this to using a toothbrush. They just changed their daily habit. Their daily habit is, oh, now I have something better. I have something I can use. I now can vibrate and get my teeth supposed to be cleaner, and whether it's circle or squared or this toothpaste, that. And it was a lifestyle shift.
Mm-hmm.
And so now it's like you brush your teeth every day. You don't think about it. So it's not like you're like, I got to do personal growth, or I got to watch this. It's a lifestyle shift. It's like you wake up in the morning and you don't check your phone. You don't look at your email. You don't go online. You own your day. You don't sleep with your phone. You put it out. Number one, the radiation, all that stuff they're proving now. You know, that's my son's 18. I know he's in bed because his phone's on the kitchen counter. He knows these rules, right? And he's okay with them. And it's like, I want to get up and own the day. So when I got the day, I immediately turned on positive, reassuring, whether it be a podcast or a YouTube video or a book I'm reading or an audio or something. It's my time. I have to program my computer every day. We can spend an hour on this, which we can't, we won't. But like your computer, your brain, it's proven can work better than any computer that's out there. And I'm not saying AI is going to be smart as the smartest human. Either way, your brain right now is the smartest thing on this planet. And unfortunately, someone else held the keyboard your whole life. Mommy, daddy, they all trace it back, which is scary. That in your third trimester, you already start picking up your personality. You can hear, feel emotions. So think about that. You don't know that. You had no control over it. Mom and dad yelling, screaming. Maybe they were in an abusive relationship. Maybe they were beating your brothers and sisters. Who knows what happened? I don't know. And then you come out, right? And you're born to win, and you get conditioned to lose, because then it's like, no, don't do this and don't do that. No, stop. Don't touch this. No, this, no, stop. And you start learning, you hear the word no 10,000 times before your age of 5, Joe. You know, it has an effect in your life when you hear the word no. It means stop. You can't do that. There's going to be a massive consequence if you do. And that's, don't think, oh, actually, it's programmed in there. Mm-hmm. And then top it off, they send your ass to school. And you hear more no's. And then you hear minus this and minus that and minus this and minus that and minus this. And you're no good. And you got a D and you got a C and you don't compare, because you can't memorize someone else's shit and put it on a piece of paper that has no worth of how smart and intellectually and talented you are. We're going to grade you on your ability to memorize content from someone else's thoughts, ideas, and beliefs. And if you can memorize what they think, right or wrong, not tried and true and proven, and you can put it on a piece of paper, valedictorian, head of the class, 4.0, scholarship to college. What happened to the rest of the things in life that really help you achieve in life that you never even taught in school?
Mm-hmm.
So like that you got to reprogram it. Unfortunately, you don't have a delete button. I wish we did. And even if you do, I love my son just realized now that when you hit delete, there's not like it doesn't like fly out of your phone. You all know that, right? Like you can hit delete as many times as you want on your phone and computer. You hand it to the right person, they got every keystroke from the day it unboxed it. Mm-hmm. It's in there. Mm-hmm. They just takes it and they take those little files and they go make room and they go delete and they put it in the little back of the corner. So you can be deleting that mom and dad and school teacher and authority figures that told you who you think you are. You're not good enough and you can't do this and you can't do that. Mistake, bad. And you can attempt to delete it, but it's still there.
Yeah.
And it comes in every morning, every night, during the day. Still to this day, it's still there. All I have to do is take control over my keyboard and go, what am I going to reprogram over that? So when that, and I may reprogram it once, but guess what? That other files has been there for 20 years. When I search for data, that file comes up first. I got to push it back and hit delete again and then go, okay, great. New programming. And it takes time.
Right.
You're going up against 14,000 hours of no, and you can't do this, and get in line and raise your hand if you have to go to the bathroom, or 1 or 2, and all this stuff that they do. You think in 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you're going to override 20 plus years of programming, negative programming?
Well, we weren't even taught to reprogram in the freaking first place. We got to learn how to program even to start, right?
people come to these events and go, oh, you got brainwashed. Like, hell yeah. My brain wasn't dirty. It wouldn't need to be washed, man. Take a roto-rooter in that motherfucker, right? I'm like, get it out. Get all of that negative stuff out of my head, because all the things I've learned came from broke people or unsuccessful relationships or unhealthy people. And that's what you grew up with. So you got to reprogram it. And it's a constant every day. You're in control of the keyboard. Every time you get on social media, I hate to tell you, you hand your control, your keyboard to someone else. Every time you turn on that stupid TV and watch the news, you're handing your keyboard to somebody else. Every time you listen to someone and speak into your life that doesn't have what you want, you're handing your keyboard to somebody else. What are you allowing in the program in your freaking head? My mentor was way off the charts, and I remember him laying down on stage, and I can't do it because you can't see me. And he goes, this is what you're doing. Every time you want to listen to someone's problems and drama and negativism, and this isn't going to work, and you're not cut out for this and everything else, next time, lay down on the floor, expose your ear, and tell them to piss in it. I mean, the audience is like, he laid right on the floor and goes, watch. And he was like, hey, this is what you guys do. Oh, come on, pee in here. Nope, that was my mouth. You missed it. Come on, keep peeing. Oh, you want to take a poop? Number 2 in my ear. Do the other ear. And they're like, oh, it's gross. That's what you're doing.
It's good.
Would you let someone in your house and okay, great. You know what? Come into my home, rearrange everything the way you like it, and then leave. And then you got to live in the house that they rearrange the way they like it? Never used that analogy before. That's what I look at. Like, how dumb would that be? You have a home, you know what you like, you know where you want your stuff, you know what clothes, your orders, your clothes and your shoes and everything else. Oh, come on, Joe, come in here. Just rearrange it however you like it. And then you leave, and I got to live in the world that you like. That's what you do when you listen to all these other people. So you got to decide, first of all, what's the world that I want to live in? What's that world going to look like? What furniture do I want in my house, hypothetically? And then you got to map it out. And then you got to go, hey, you know what? If you're not in line with what my goals are, I don't want to listen. You can be my friend. I can hang out. I can play golf with you. You can come to my kid's birthday party. But I don't want to listen to anything coming out of your mouth, because there's nothing that you have that I want. Now, if they have the marriage they want and they're broke, great. Fine, get marital advice. Well, great. You don't have any money. You're struggling. What are you doing? Get advice from them. You have great kids. Get advice from them. You want to lose weight and they lost 30 pounds? Get advice from them. But I'm not going to ask my aunt, who weighs 400 pounds, as much as I love her, what she puts in her mouth every day, because I'm going to look like her if I put in her mouth what she puts in her mouth. Right. It's a matter of fact of making that conscious decision. Am I worth investing in? That's the first question you have. If you don't, go get a job. I hate to tell you, and it's hard to be a jerk, but you're not going to make it in the world. Because if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you have to invest time, energy, and money you don't have in yourself to get where you want to go. And it's not one time, it's endless. And when you get to this level, you got to invest more than you have to get where you want to go. And then you got to invest more than you have to get where you want to go. And you got to invest more than you have. And the moment you stop investing more than you have to get where you want to go, you start going backwards, you stay in your plateau.
Yeah.
That's the journey you're on. And talk to any entrepreneur. It doesn't change for anybody. And the people that have made it to the top, they're willing to invest and give up what they have to get what they want. And it's a stair step just like this. And the more you do it, the more easy it becomes, the more normal it becomes. You go, oh, yeah, that's normal. Okay, great. I invest, I step up. I invest, I step up. I go to this event, I step up. I invest in this, I step up. I get more leads, I step up. And then it becomes naturally, like it's not even a big deal anymore. Oh, it's time to invest. It's time to go to these events. Time to put money out that I don't have. And when it's happened 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times, and all of a sudden now people go, oh, he's arrogant. That guy, Cody Askin, he's arrogant. He thinks he can do anything. He can do anything because he's done it. He set his mind to do it. And I can name 1,000 other people you do it. Tony Merwin, you, Mike, myself. Anyway, we've done it so many times. It's not arrogant. It's just confidence.
It's funny you brought up Cody. That's literally where I was going to go, because that's how I met you. And I watched you and Brad Hannon almost get in a fight over cornhole.
I remember that.
And then pool volleyball. We had a blast. But it was following that event, because that was my exposure. Right? That's what we're talking about, y'all. Is like exposing yourself to allow you to be around people that have had that mindset shift. I think sometimes it can be difficult to try and get there by yourself without having that kind of running mate, right? Somebody who is there to push you and keep you accountable. And for us, that was obviously me.
It's not hard. It's impossible. It's impossible. Go ahead.
Right. But then it was Cody. Like Cody was, oh my gosh. And, talk about spending money you didn't have. And we were still pretty freaking broke back then, dude. I mean, we signed up $30,000 for coaching, like one-on-one coaching with Cody. And we did not have $30,000, but it was like, okay, if he lets me do this amount of monthly payments, then this is every single month. This is the extra profit I need to have to make sure that I satisfy my freaking fulfillment to Cody, because Cody's helping change my business. And I had that mindset shift of, dude, I am willing to invest in this guy. And the best thing I love about Cody, one of the things I love about you is that if people, when they choose to invest in you, you come back tenfold and invest back into them, right? And that's how it should work. And it's funny that you brought up Cody, because that was instantly where I'm like, that was a hard shift for us, man. It's like we're broke. Everything, we were just getting over the expense investment mindset, and it was like, screw it. No, this is a good investment. Let's go. Yeah.
It does. And that brings it full circle. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll be done here because I know we went an hour already. People are tuned out because they have like
take a wrap up and then take a couple minutes for SWAT too.
Attention of a goldfish these days, they say now. I never get online, but someone sent me something. I looked at it. I can't believe TikTok now has, if you hold on the left or the right to speed up your video. Did you know that?
I'm not on TikTok.
Someone sent me something. I never get on there, and I'm doing it. And I accidentally was holding my phone. I was trying to drink my coffee, and my thumb hit the button. And now on the sides of TikTok, because your 12-second video is too long for you to be focused on, you can hit the button and hold it, and it will actually go 2, 3, 4 times speed.
Gosh.
So I can only imagine now. So people are like, here, have my keyboard, right? And for 8 hours, or 2 hours or 3 hours throughout the day, they're letting someone else program their mind. They're like, oh, have my keyboard, and let me give you some Mountain Dew with it. Let me give you an 8-hour energy drink shot, or whatever the hell that is. And now they're getting all this information where they can maybe consume, an hour worth of material. Now they're consuming 4 hours within that same hour. Wow. But it comes full circle because I met you with Cody, and I did these events, and I did them throughout 4 or 5 different industries, and I've made millions of dollars in every industry I've done these events with by building people, learning the skills, how to communicate to people in the language they speak, so they don't confuse the message with the messenger, so they understand what you're saying, and they understand, and they receive the message, and then they act on it, and they take action. That was a huge deal. And then how to create a realization in the mind of a buyer that they need what you have. I mean, like, I picked up the phone this year, and I haven't written business a lot. I've been in and out, kind of writing some business, and I started building an agency again, and I like to lead from the front. And I wrote $388,000 annual premium volume in 2 months. And I'm not saying that to impress you. It just means I had the skill. I learned that skill. You never lose the skill, right? And I like to be leading from the front when I'm working with a team. And I trained a guy to write He wrote $185,000 in APV his second month.
Jeez.
He's consistently writing 34, teaching the things that I taught at SWAT.
Wow.
30 to 40 apps a week consistently. His goal, he's going to hit over $1.5 million in his own personal pen. I think it sets a record in the industry that I know of in mortgage protection, in the space that we're in, of someone who did that much volume the first year. And it wasn't, again, it's about learning the techniques and the tools and the things that you don't know. And Cody and Coach Burt came to one of my events that I did internally with my organization. I said, so what'd you think? Right. Because I met Coach Burt through Cody, and Cody's like, man, that was awesome. This is great. Amazing. And I'm like, what do you think, Coach? He's like, I just don't get what you're doing. I'm like, what happened here? He's like, what do you mean I don't get what I'm doing? He's like, I just don't understand why you're being so selfish. Well, what do you mean, sir? I don't think I'm being. He's like, well, no, like the talent that you have and the information your mentor taught you and the lives that you're changing here. Why are you not doing this for everybody in the industry? Yep. I wasn't being selfish. I just never thought about being Tony Robbins or anything like that. And I'm like, okay, I don't know. And then Cody was like, hey, let's do a one-day event. Let's do a one-day event. And I didn't promote it. And I was on stage at 8%, and I got to do a speaking part, and I did a breakout. We sold 85 tickets. Mm-hmm. You were one of the 85. I think there were 75 and like 10 people that were staff and husbands and wives and everything else. And we went through a one-day deal. And I remember at the end of it, people's eyes were just dropped on the floor. And they're like, oh my God. I'm like, who wants to do a 2-day event? And they're like, yeah. And then I'm like,
oh, it was the dog and the Equinox. And I'm like, oh shit, sign me up, dude. I mean, this is obviously working.
Tell that story. Yeah. It doesn't work. My stuff I teach doesn't work, right? You're like, I have that car and I have that dog and I bring it to work every day. And it was hilarious because we didn't talk about personality types. And we were showing how you're marketed to and everything else. And amazingly enough, being the color that he is, the personality, not color of your skin, but color and personality that he is, guess what? He had the car that is marketed to that personality. He had a dog that was marketed to that personality. And he brought his dog to the office, like in the TV commercial that was showing what you do with your dog in the car. And, your mind is affected by stuff. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, who wants to do an event? They're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, great. One thing to raise your hand. Another thing, I'm going to pass out forms. You got to pay me. So I haven't done an event outside of my organization. I'm like, I don't know what people charge. Do a $250 general, a $500 VIP, and a $1,000 special ops. And I handed out the forms and didn't think anything of it. The next day, I got Sarah came over to my house, and I'm like, we're going through how many tickets we sell? She goes, 111. 111, there were only 5 people there. People were buying people for other people to come. I said, okay, great. And then how many of those $1,000 tickets do we sell? She's like, 33. I'm like, okay. So I better make that really good. And I promise, we have 9 breaks during the event because it's a workshop environment, and we break off, and you have a carving station and a private chef for lunch, and we rent out the Bluefish, and we do a mastermind at my house. And I mean, you're wined and dined. And if you remember that first one I came out, I said, guys, I lost my ass. I haven't done an event for 10 years outside like this big. I didn't realize that, every break cost me $8,000 to $9,000 because they want popcorn per head is $23 plus per person. And there's 150 people walking through this event every break 9 times. I'm like, we got to change things.
Mm-hmm.
We can have our general ticket for $250 and you can get in the room. We can have your VIP ticket where you have a better seat, a table to write on, and a lunch. But we got to do away with the special ops ticket because it costs me far more. Or I got to raise the price to $2,000. I want to feel like I'm hitting you because I put all the money back into it. And unanimously, everyone said, no, raise the price. We want that ticket.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. Passed out forms for a year in advance, sold out of that training.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone that ever gets special ops never comes without getting special ops. I'm not saying you have to get special ops, but because when you have that experience, why would you go backwards?
Right.
And I have people that like you have been 5 years. If you go to a concert and you spend $2,000 to go to the concert, you don't get your money's worth. Are you going next year? No. So we got guys at 95% of the people that have ever gone there once continue to buy it every single year. So do you think they're getting their money's worth? Think they're getting their value?
And I pay and I bring people with me, and I'm like, I mean, that's the other thing too. It's one thing to like be loyal, right? But it's my favorite freaking event of the year. And I love everybody. Anybody watch Cody, I love you. And I'm like, I'll go to a lot of events and stuff, but I'm not even playing. I'm not saying this to say it, Nate, because you're on here. Like, SWAT is, and me and Tony say it together, like SWAT is our favorite event of the year because of what you teach there. And because every time I take somebody new there, or even when I take somebody for even just their second time, right? Because some of my team is newer. But like Todd it was his first time last year, and seeing him and what he was exposed to, and now who he is, Nate, like it is going to be so freaking cool to bring him next month to see like how far he has come in literally freaking 12 months. And it's exponential. It's crazy, right? And that's just you don't bring people to something that is shitty too, right? Like it's like I'm bringing people here to change their lives, and that's I freaking love SWAT, man. It's an amazing experience. It's not a conference, in my opinion. I would say it is an amazing experience, and it's freaking life changing. And I don't say that lightly.
Well, I appreciate that. And just mentoring after what my mentor did. He had 400 offices, and he had 3 trainings going on every weekend across the country, and we're about to do something this month, which I'm excited about, and I'll let you guys go. I don't know if you need to know where to find the ticket prices and everything else, but after we realized that, hey, we couldn't afford to do it for $1,000, we upped it to $1,500. We still couldn't afford it. We did $2,000, so we still have that ticket. So now we have a $250 ticket. Right now, you can get a 2-month pay plan on it. It's like what, $135 for 2 months. My dog's going nuts. Someone's here at the house. I think it's my son's teacher. We have money doesn't buy happiness. My son had a 2.0. We hired a teacher to come teach him at his house, and a coach and a life coach and a teacher. And now he has a 4.0, and he's actually taking college classes before he's graduated. So yeah, money doesn't help do anything. But I got a whole other thing on that one. So we have the $250 ticket. I think it's $135.
I just dropped that link in the comments, y'all, so you guys can check that out.
Yeah, and I'll send you another link to jump in the comments. That'll actually be a short video. They can kind of pick and choose what they want to do. And then we have a VIP, which is $500 for 2 payments. And then we have a $1,000 ticket, which is elite VIP. Above that, you get better seating, a couple lunches, and hang around some higher caliber people. And then you have your special ops, which is still a $2,000, but we still have like 15 left of those. We have 2-month payment plans, but we keep it to 500. We have 300 tickets sold. We're a month and a half away. We're going to sell out, and we got to keep it at a workshop environment because again, it's an experience. It's a workshop. There's nothing against any other events that are out there. It's just a different event. I only like to call it an event.
I know.
You come in there and you get trained, man. You leave there a different person. Everyone who ever showed and came, it's like I left a different person. And for those that have been around or seen it before or been there before, yeah, you're not going to recognize SWAT this year. Telling you what, we got some things that we're doing that I've never done, probably will never do again. And it's going to be unrecognizable. I mean, you'll have the colors and you'll have your blueprint to your life. But other than that, with a few other speakers, it's going to be unrecognizable what we're about to do. So I'm extremely fired up. And yes, somebody should be some fear of loss there because, we'll come next year. Well, we're not going to be doing this next year. So I'm very fired up about that. So I appreciate you having me on. Hopefully I touched some people in a positive way today to get you on the right track because that's all I do this for because someone's done it for me. And I'm no one special. There's still, every time I think you get to that point where, especially my personality, kind of like, yeah, I'm doing pretty good, man. I got 8 Rolex watches sitting here, and I got a nice car and a Bentley and a nice house. Then you go hang out with a buddy of mine who has this yacht. Yeah. and we want to go from Miami to Bahamas. And he's jawing me a little bit and say, "Hey, how you doing, man? How you doing? You make good money last year?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "What'd you make?" And I told him, shy of $2 million or everything. He goes, "That's cool, good. So you got the gas today?" I said, yeah. I said, "Yeah, how much? I'll get it."
100
Right?
grand.
Like, yeah, I'll get it. He's like, "Cool," and he puts it in there, and it's going. Joe, to fill up his tank for the day to go from Miami to the Bahamas and come back was over $1 million in gas.
Oh my gosh, dude. Are you freaking serious?
And my brain just went, wow,
That's
I'm a
crazy.
nobody. I'm a nobody. So
That's crazy.
levels, it just
Levels.
level up, level up, level up, level up. Everything is in perspective. People
Yeah, man.
here right now that go, man, God, if I could have that type. If you guys have a Honda Civic in your house, you're going to treat your McLaren, your Porsche, and your Lamborghini the exact same way. I promise you. I don't go down and kiss it when I wake up in the morning. I don't take pictures of it and rub it. And maybe the first couple of days I did, right? But do you realize people in third world countries look at you like you're rich because you have a car and they don't have anything to eat? So if you're thinking that if I get to that next level, or I buy that house, or I buy that car, or I buy that watch, or I buy whatever it is, it's going to get me to be, it won't. Your Timex is just as good as your Rolex. It's just that you can afford the Rolex versus the Timex. You look at your watch every day and be like, oh my God, look at this Apple Watch. My God.
Right.
You don't do that to your Rolexes either. It's all relative. Someone's in a third world country can't eat. They're looking at you going, what are you bitching about? You have a car. You have 2 cars. You have a house. You have food on the table every day. Start being grateful for things that you have if you want to get to one. Because if this will be the last thing. If you were God and everything I provided to you wasn't at your terms and wasn't your or you provided to me, wasn't in my terms, wasn't my level, and I wasn't happy, I was bitching, moaning, complaining, and I had zero gratitude for what I had in my life, would you keep giving me more as God? Or would you be like, hey, nothing makes this kid happy? He's got a car, he has a house, he has food on the table, he's still griping about how he's broke and doesn't have any money left and more monthly money and whining to his family and his friends. If I was God, I'd be like, well, sorry, man, go do it on your own. I'm going to reward someone who's grateful for what they have.
Right.
And you see those stories in the Bible, the person that's just grateful to be alive. And Brad Lee talks about it. I love it. I gave you $12 million a day. How many would be happy? Well, yeah. All right, great. Well, what if the caveat was you can't wake up tomorrow? Oh, shoot.
Right.
So what you're telling me is that you waking up and breathing air is far more valuable than $12 million. And it was like, wow, you're right. It is. But are you really thankful for waking up in the morning? I am. Are you really thankful for what you have? I am. Are you really thankful that you're still alive? I am. Are you thankful that your people around you are still alive? And that the gratitude, I mean, it's like, I never had that shit. I mean, I was like, well, I'm grateful. I deserve this. No. I had to start learning. I'm grateful for what I have, or else it can be taken away like that.
Right. And if anybody was paying attention through this training, because this was a training, this wasn't even a live show, y'all. This was like a training. I got a whole freaking page of notes. It's the stuff. You got to be willing to you don't need to be attached and in love with the stuff. A watch is a watch, right? Regardless of the type of watch, you know that, like you said earlier, a hearse ain't never showing up with a freaking pulling a U-Haul, you know?
Right.
So real quick, I wanted to share this to y'all. So I dropped the link in the comments. I'm going to go ahead and share this just so you guys can see the site and everything. Nate, can you see that okay?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay,
awesome.
Cool. So if you guys just want to go through here, there's a bunch of testimonial videos in here and just give you some good snippets.
I'll go back up a little bit. There's a link here. This is where you want to go. If you click that link, that's going to give you here, click it real quick. That's going to be able to show them and kind of be able to walk them through what ticket levels to get, what comes with the ticket level. Oh, no, you can't click it. I don't know how you have it. I don't know if it's live or not, whatever it is. But they can click that little button and they can click on last year's SWAT, what other people are saying about it, testimonials, what ticket level to buy. So all that information is there to kind of view what they want to view. So it's super cool.
Cool. All right, y'all. Well, you guys see it here. Obviously, I'll be there. And we'll really, I mean, a lot of the syndicate is going to potentially be a little bit more involved this year as well. So we're excited for that. Well,
we have. I can announce what we're going to announce a SWAT right now. It would be incredible. Like there'd be mayhem and frenzy. So the people are there going to get the announcement, and people they're going to participate in it, and the people that aren't. I'm not saying that to be a jerk. It's just I can't. If you're not there, you're not there.
Let them real quick before we close out. I know we've been running along, but I don't even care because I love this. What's the? I know. Don't
watch it.
Nate is slow. Nate is slow on Facebook. He's slow on Facebook. So what's the best way for them to actually reach out to you if they want to connect? Obviously, you guys see the link for the website. We'd love to see you at the event next month. Like I said, it's not even. We hate calling it an event. It's more of a workshop. It's an experience. I've been 5 years in a row, if not more. How many you've done? Is it 6 now, or I don't know. I haven't missed
when
one.
we first started, we did twice a year for 2 years. So we had 4. I think we did 6 now, 6 or 7.
6? Yeah, it's life changing. So we'd love to see y'all there. But if anybody wants to connect with you outside of that, how can they? What's the
I would
best
give
way
my personal cell. I give my email, but you guys can see how that hard it is to get a hold of me through that. So actually, my director of operations, Sarah, her email is SWAT team HR at swatfinancial.com. So SWAT team HR at swatfinancial.com. She sends me all my emails. So like I after a while, I was just kind of like, you read through all my emails, you deal with what you got to deal with, anything that's important. So now I hate looking at my phone every time she texts me because it's always something that's on my email that I have to take care of. So now it's like, I'm like, we got to figure out a new way here because I don't want to look at my phone every time I see a text from you. Go, oh God, what is it now? You know, because it's like, okay, great. Reach out to there if you want to get me on contact, and she'll get a hold of me, and we'll be able to do that. If you message me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, social media, I'm probably never going to see it. Or if I do see it, I'm not going to know how to respond back to it. Joe's saying, yeah, he's not lying. I'm pretty computer illiterate and social media illiterate for a reason. So,
for a reason. Well, Nate, thank you, man. I appreciate you, brother. This was seriously, selfishly, this was really good. I kind of needed this morning, man. So I appreciate your time. I'm excited for next month. Y'all, Strategic Wealth Accumulation Tactics, SWAT, is next month in Dallas, Texas. It is May 15th through the 17th, a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We would love to see you there. And y'all know what the day is. It's Wednesday. It is the peak of the week. Let's keep the pedal to the floor. Let's finish the week out strong. Drop those weekly wins in the comments. Even if you're late to the party, we want to be able to celebrate you. But without further ado, y'all, have an amazing rest of your day, amazing rest of your week, and let's get after it. All right, see you.